You know, I was gonna talk about a show that I actually liked. Tanaka-kun is Always Listless. It's a great show. It came out in 2016. You should go watch it right now. It's great. Solid 8 out of 10. Fantastic show. One of the better shows to come out this year. But right now, I'm just really feeling a lot more strongly about Shinsekai Yori. And if you haven't heard about it, which you probably haven't, because it's pretty obscure, but it's an A1 Pictures show, and on Mal right now, I watched the whole thing on Mal right now. It's got like an 8.5 user score, or something like that. It might have gone down, hopefully, but you sh- I just don't see how anyone can enjoy it. Um, yeah, ever just go watch the first 3 episodes and tell me you're not bored out of your mind. So this is not a review. This is just a stupid rant for anyone who's seen the show. But the first 14, there's 26 episodes. The first 14 episodes, nothing happens. Everybody will admit that. Nothing happens at all. And then, but everyone says oh, the last 11 or 12, those are the best. And they're not. This is just, you need to go watch it for yourself. It's one of the worst directed anime shows, anything I've ever seen in my entire life. There was actually an important character dies, right? And it's a 2 episode thing. It's they make a big thing out of it. But that's, for those 2 really important episodes, they decided to bring in a substitute director who had no idea, clearly had no idea what he's doing. And it actually gave me a headache. It was so bad. These episodes were so cancer, and everything was so bad about him that I almost didn't finish the show. But the only reason I did is because a friend wanted me to. Yeah, and the whole, the animation's really bad. You notice right from episode 1, the music starts playing. And the music in the show is probably the only redeeming quality in it. But you can tell right away this is going to be a terrible show, because there's a scene in the very first episode where they're in this raft, in this boat, and they're just going along the river, and it cuts to a shot of the sky, and they're sailing from their perspective, and going under this rope, and the rope is in really bad CG, and it contrasts with the sky really, really poorly. The animation is horrible. I don't know how hard I could draw a rope. It wouldn't be hard to draw a rope from a few different angles. They did not have to use CG. And there's this one part where they're rocks are getting catapulted at them or whatever. The show's a clusterfuck. The show sucks. It's terrible. So even if I tried explaining it to you, you wouldn't get it. That's why this is just a rambling rant, non-review. But yeah, so they're getting rocks catapulted at them, and the rocks are in really bad CG. And yeah, just stupid, dumb animation errors all over the place that don't need to be there, that I've never seen in any other show before. It's awful. And yeah, so then you get into the second half, and those 11 episodes are supposed to be great, right? And they're definitely better. It's definitely better than the first half, but it's so unenjoyable. All the character designs are weird, because A1, they hire all different people to do their shows, but all their shows look the same. So even though the theme of the show is supposed to be kind of dark and depressing, they're in this future post-apocalyptic world. Everything's supposed to be dark and depressing, but all the character designs look super moe and out of place, and it's just really weird. And the voice acting isn't that great either. I watched it subbed. I'm not even gonna, I heard the dub was bad, but yeah, so I watched it subbed, and the sub voice actors weren't very great. But yeah, I just, there's a lot of, I'm gonna talk about this in the future, but there's a lot of A1 Pictures shows that have scored way higher than they deserve. I think, honestly, people complain about Sword Art Online too much. Sword Art Online is like a 7.6 average or something like that. Because, people like Digibro made videos criticizing it, and then the score went down a lot. But they're not... People aren't going after the right targets. I mean, people need to talk more about Shinsekai Yori and Erased and Shelter and why those are terrible. I mean, Shinsekai Yori is way worse than SAO could ever hope to be, but the only reason it doesn't have a lower score is because not a lot of people are talking about it, so only the A1 fanboys have gone and given it like an 8 out of 10. I think Jason, who I talked with on the podcast, he literally gave it an 8 out of 10, and he's like, oh, it has great world building. But, and that's it. I mean, and when I press him on the show more, he's like, he's memeing me. He just says like, oh, great world building, man, and he just never talks. He'll like never explain why he gave it an 8 out of 10, why he thinks it's great. Yeah, it's just a super... I thought it was going to be really good towards the ending. The last 4 episodes, I thought it was going to be great, but then they just had the most cliche... And you should watch it for yourself, because the show is definitely an experience. I marathoned it in like 2 days. Just because sometimes, except for I had to stop because of those 2 episodes that gave me a headache because they had the replacement director come in. But yeah, it's kind of like, what's the show? Tetsuo Araki directed it, and Hiroyuki Sawano composed the music. I can't think of it right now. Probably like put a big black box over the screen with text in it for what show I'm thinking of, but it's like that show. It's a train wreck. You just can't... It's so awful that you can't look away. So yeah, that's it. Go watch Shinsekai Yori and give it a low score, because it's way too... It is a much higher score than it deserves. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I'm going to be posting a longer, crazier video soon, so this is just practice for that. So, alright, see you guys. 3 out of 10.